Hello, my name is Maitland, and I'm going to say something a little controversial here. Being nice is good. I don't care who hears me say it, I'll say it loud and proud. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious here. We all generally agree that being nice is morally good, but we also have this understanding that being selfless is inherently a sacrifice. I mean, it's in the name, selfless. But I'm here to argue that that's not the case. That being generous is not just morally good, but objectively correct. So, we all know from economics class that people generally operate within their own self-interest. It's what makes capitalism so predictable. But I would add an amendment to that. I would say that people generally do what they believe is in their own self-interest, which is why kindness is not a universal phenomenon, because a lot of us still believe that it is a sacrifice. But it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment. You can see this clearly once you start looking at humanitarian aid. For instance, Altogether Better, which is a network organization for the UK's NHS, looked at 15 case studies of their humanitarian programs and found a unanimous return on investment. These returns ranged from £1.79 per pound invested to £113 per pound invested. So on the low end of that, that's a return of 79%. Pitting that against professional investors, let's look at the Barclays Hedge Fund Index. If you look at that page, the year with the best return, which was 2021, hedge funds got on average a 10% return on their investment, which means that humanitarian aid is a 7 times better investment than professional investors. But that's comparing the UK to the US, pounds to dollars, so let's bring it a little bit closer to home. Like when the University of Chicago looked at a portfolio of 5 USAID humanitarian programs, which they call Development Innovation Ventures, or DIVs. And they found that those DIVs had an average return of $17 per dollar invested, which is a 170% return on investment. Now, I understand what you might be thinking. That's a small sample size, and also there's a possibility that one of those ventures had a very large return and threw off the average. Well, to directly quote the paper, the existence of multiple innovations that could single-handedly cover the cost of the entire portfolio suggests that DIV's strong returns were not a fluke. But these are large government programs. How is being nice beneficial to you specifically? In order to look at that, let's look at a game called the Prisoner's Dilemma. If you don't know what it is, I'll explain it very quickly. You have 2 players, and they have 2 options. They can either cooperate or defect. So, if 2 players cooperate, they both get 3 points. If one player defects and the other player cooperates, the player who defects gets 5, the player who cooperates gets 0, and the other way around. And if they both defect, they both get 1 point. Now, Robert Axelrod, the professor of political science at the University of Michigan, held a tournament where he took in submissions and was just trying to figure out what the best strategy was to get you the most points. And in his first tournament, he got 16 submissions. 8 of them were nice, 8 of them were mean. So if they were nice, they didn't defect first. If they were mean, they did defect first. And I've color coordinated them so that green is nice and red is mean. And you can very clearly see the divide here. Being nice is the best strategy. And he held a second tournament. This one had a lot more submissions. It had 63. Over half of them were nice because people got the message that being nice was a good strategy. But you can still see that there are plenty of mean ones, and they collected near the bottom. In fact, the bottom 15 submissions, all of them were mean except for 1. And in the top 15 submissions, all of them were nice except for 1, which didn't even finish in the top 5. It was in 8th place. So to translate the Prisoner's Dilemma to a regular event of kindness, we could look at helping an elderly woman cross the street. You could help the elderly woman cross the street and receive nothing in return. That'd be like if the other party defected. Or you could receive something in return. She could offer you money, offer you a favor, or you could just receive social favor. And that would be like both of you cooperating. Or you could choose not to inconvenience yourself and not help the lady cross the street. That's you defecting, and as long as you get away with it, then that that's the equivalent of you defecting and the other one cooperating. But if you get called out, losing social favor, that would be the equivalent of both defecting. Now, since you already know what we've talked about and you already know the best strategy, you already know that the best strategy is just to help the lady cross the street every single time. To bring this home, to bring this whole idea home, this idea of selfishly helping others because it is in your own best interest was a subject of an article in Frontiers in Psychology where they call it impure altruism. And they looked at 4 different studies across a wide variety of cultures and figured out that this impure altruism, people who participated in it were they themselves happier. So we now know that being nice and being kind is not just morally good, but it is the best strategy. It's not selfless, it's smart. We've also learned that kindness is not a sacrifice, it's an investment. And it's one that's safer and more reliable than just simply investing in yourself. And now you know that this impure altruism is a way to make yourself happier. So since people generally do what they believe is in their own best interest, I hope I've been able to sway your belief towards the idea that niceness is objectively in your best interest. Thank you so much. And as per usual, here are my witnesses.